Hello, I'm Scott Wrighton. I serve as Decatur's City Manager, and welcome to this week's City News Update. The number of people tested for COVID-19 is now approaching 10% of the entire population of Macon County. This is an impressive number, and it is testament to the ability of local healthcare providers to step up and provide these services, as well as respond to the governor's goal to have as many people tested as possible, not just those who have serious flu symptoms. It also speaks well of local citizens who have sought to vigilantly protect fellow employees, friends, and family members by seeking out testing if they believe there's any chance that they might have been exposed to the virus at some point. Macon County's positive test rate as a percentage of total tests is still around 2.5%. This is also a very good number. It compares to 7.6 for the entire state of Illinois. Said differently, Greater Chicagoland's higher rate, which approaches 10% up there in Northeast Illinois, is mitigated by the lower percentages here in downstate when all the numbers are averaged together. In just the last week, statewide, that percentage is 3%, compared to like 11% in Florida. But in both states, the rates are higher in large, densely populated areas. So downstate Illinois is a good place to be. While the City of Decatur strongly encourages mask use in public, social distancing, avoidance of large groups, and frequent cleaning, the city has no plans to enact a general ordinance mandating mask use everywhere in public. As many of you know, this was discussed by the City Council about 2 months ago, and it was decided at that time that we would not go in that direction, electing instead to let businesses adopt their own rules that best fit their circumstances, and requiring that businesses using city streets and sidewalks for outdoor dining follow the CDC protocols as a condition of using streets and sidewalks. I'm pleased to tell you that most restaurants are conforming, and I believe that they genuinely want to give their customers a safe restaurant experience. But some are not, and so we will be contacting those that are in violation to remind them of their obligations and the consequences for non-compliance. We all must do our part to keep the virus numbers down in Decatur and Macon County. It really is as simple as that. Moving on to some other city topics, I'm pleased to report that the City Council gave tentative go-ahead to several revisions to the city's minority business enterprise ordinances and policies during a City Council session at the Civic Center Theater on Monday night. For more than 5 years, the city's minority business enterprise ordinance has required contractors on large construction projects that are let by the city to meet minimum percentages of minority subcontractors and minority payroll totals. But we want to see more minority contractors start up and grow and succeed in Decatur. So the council decided to add additional incentives to this program and to add incentives for minority-owned businesses to participate more effectively in city procurement as well, meaning the routine purchase of many of the goods, products, and services that the city buys. The City Council also discussed ways we could be of greater assistance to certain types of small and startup businesses, not only because in an era of COVID, small and startup businesses is one way that people that are idled by a former employer can get a fresh start, but also because a larger and larger segment of our economy is shifting to small business and to small independent contractors. So the more the city helps these small entities succeed, the more we can help the local economy, and the more we can help a segment of our population that may not have had equal access to these opportunities in the past. The City Council also made some preliminary decisions on Monday night about how to distribute some of the money it will be receiving from the federal CARES Act. The President signed the CARES Act in early April, and large sums have already flowed through Decatur and Macon County in the form of paycheck protection funds, as well as some small business assistance. The money allotted to the City of Decatur will not be used to plug our huge budget and revenue gaps, but rather it'll be used to help people in the community who have been the most directly impacted by the economic disruptions that have been set in motion by the virus. Now, although the details remain to be worked out, the City Council elected to use the bulk of these funds to help existing nonprofit entities in Decatur provide rent and utility assistance to persons who have lost their jobs due directly to COVID, And then a lesser portion of the funding will be used for more small business assistance, as well as training, mentoring, and coaching for small businesses and people who are in transition. Finally today, I want to talk a little bit more about a couple of things going on in the Decatur Police Department. Those of you who like listening to a police scanner may have noticed that we are transitioning to encrypted transmissions of police radio frequencies. Many other police departments have been making this change in recent years because criminals are getting more sophisticated. They monitor the police radio traffic to know where the police are located and know when all the officers might be on a shift and engaged in handling calls elsewhere and can plan criminal activities accordingly. We have made this change to increase officer safety, protect the integrity of sometimes confidential information, and frankly, just stay a step ahead of the bad guys. No one should think that this is a retreat from our obligation to be as transparent as possible in the ways that we provide police services to our citizens, or enact mechanisms for remaining accountable in our police work to citizens, elected officials, and the media. Established media sources will have the ability to hear unencrypted transmissions without any kind of filtering or editing. The city's commitment to law enforcement transparency is further illustrated by the City Council's decision, late last fall actually, to equip our officers with body-worn cameras. Equipment is being installed now in squad cars, though we are still awaiting delivery of some of the equipment that our police officers will wear. Chief Getz and I are not reluctant to increase police transparency in this manner. In fact, we welcome and embrace it. I am confident that the more Decatur citizens know about the operations and the policies of the police department, the more they will come to appreciate the hard work and dedication of DPD, often in difficult situations. One of the things that has made our work, which even on normal days can be difficult, even more challenging is the need to cut costs in the face of huge budget shortfalls created by the economic disruptions created by COVID. No one has been laid off at the city, but we have reduced staff through normal turnover and attrition, and we have sought to economize in every department. And where we can, we restructure how services are provided so that we can avoid what too many other cities elsewhere are considering, which is tax increases. As city manager, I can tell you every major department wants more staff and more money. So I have called on all of them to be more creative about how we provide our services and how to think differently about fulfilling our mission. In this, we are determined. The city will not tax its way out of this crisis. But to do this, we have to think differently about how we do government. How can it be leaner? How can it be structured better? And how can we reduce the duplication of services that exists when you have more than 50 separate units of local government in Macon County, all of them with the power to levy taxes? I look forward to talking with you again in the weeks ahead with these weekly videos and hearing more from you and working more creatively and innovatively with all of our partners to make Decatur better.